book of Psalms. Remember that Psalms are songs, and so we make our singing sign. So Psalms 100, verse 4. Enter, okay, so you're going to come to me. Okay, enter his gates, like you're opening a set of gates. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, like you're going to pray. All right, let's try it all together. Psalms 100, verse 4. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Great job. You guys are doing so awesome. I'll see you next week. Bye. Hey guys, you'll never guess what I found while crawling around in the attic. I found this really cool box of disguises. I wonder if I can trick you. Hold on. Can you guess who I am?
What if I talk like this?
Did I get confused? It's just me with a wig and a hat on. I wonder what else we have in here. Do you like to play dress up? I used to like to wear my mom's shoes all around the house and wear her fancy hats with some pearls and some jewelry and have a tea party. Do you ever play pretend? You know, when we want to hide who we are, we might put on a disguise, a mustache, or some glasses to trick whoever into wondering who we are. You know, this reminds me of Joseph and his brothers. Remember, Joseph's brothers weren't very nice to Joseph when he was a child. They beat him up and threw him in a pit. They sold him into slavery. And because he was sold into slavery, he worked at Potiphar's house, and then Potiphar's wife lied about him. So Potiphar threw him in jail. And then he was in jail and he interpreted the dreams for the baker and the cupbearer, but the cupbearer forgot about him. So he sat in jail for 2 more years. And then remember, Pharaoh had an awful dream, and the cupbearer remembered Joseph. And so they sent for Joseph, and Joseph could tell the Pharaoh what the dream meant. And remember that the dream meant that there would be 7 good years where they would have lots of food and crop. And they needed to store that up because then there were going to be 7 bad years. And Pharaoh was so impressed with Joseph that he made Joseph second in command of all the land. Joseph has come a long way from that kid whose brothers beat him up. Now Joseph, he is serving as the second in command to Pharaoh. And he would order the people and tell them what to do. And they did have 7 wonderful, amazing years with great crops and great animals. And Joseph, he had very carefully told people how to store the grain and to store the meat so that they would have food when the 7 bad years came. Well, those 7 bad years came. And you know who started to get hungry? Joseph's brothers and his father. Because there was a drought where they lived too. And they had heard about Egypt and how this amazing place had stored all this food and prepared for these 7 bad years. Joseph's father sent his brothers to go to Egypt to get food from the Egyptians. Now, Joseph wasn't a little boy anymore. Joseph had grown into a young man, and he was all dressed in wonderful palace robes. So when Joseph's brothers came, they didn't know that it was Joseph. It was like Joseph was disguised. But Joseph knew that those were his brothers. I wonder what happens next. If we look over here in Genesis chapter 42, we find out that only 10 of Joseph's brothers came to see him. His father did not want to risk that something would happen to his youngest brother, Benjamin. So when they came to Joseph, they didn't recognize him. And he said, "You are spies. You have come to see the places where our land isn't guarded very well." No, sir. His brothers were very concerned. We've come to buy food. All of us are sons of one man. We're honest men. We aren't spies. Now, Joseph kind of has a little bit of fun with them. But, if I was Joseph, I'd be pretty angry at my brothers if they had beat me up and sold me into slavery. He says, "No, you've come to guard our lands." And they tell him that there's really 12 of us, but one of the brothers was killed when he was young. Well, he messes with them quite a bit. In fact, he even makes them go back home. He fills their bags with grain, and he makes them go back home and get Benjamin. And he keeps one of them, so they have to come back. Well, when they get back home, Joseph's father isn't very happy. Jacob is a little bit concerned, and he very reluctantly says, "Okay, you can take Benjamin, but if anything happens to him," well, they come. And when they come, Joseph meets them again. Joseph is just so overwhelmed. And he begins to ask them, "Is your father still alive?" "Yeah, he is." Oh, Joseph can't contain it anymore. He asks for everyone to leave him as he breaks down in tears. Imagine after seeing his brothers so many years later. He finally reveals to them that, "I am your brother, Joseph." Well, now they're really scared. Joseph is the second in command in Egypt, and he has all the food. And they weren't very nice to Joseph when he was young. Ooh, what do you think Joseph will do? Do you think Joseph will send them to the gallows to be hung? Or maybe he'll chop off their heads. What do you think? No, you see, Joseph knew that God was with him the whole time, and that all of this was God's plan for Joseph. Joseph does what the Bible tells him to do, and he forgave his brothers. You see, when someone does something wrong to us, we should forgive them too, just like Jesus forgave us when he died on the cross. Guys, thanks so much for listening to my story today. I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Hey, elementary, I have your verses for the week of September 22nd. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving this week, but don't forget to work really hard on your verses. All right, TNT, it's going to scroll across the screen and I'll read with you. Psalm 118, verse 1. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. That's a really easy one for you guys this week. I will bet you have no problem learning that verse. If you need help, just stop the tape and you can go back and look at it. All right, Sparks, your verse comes out of Psalm 100, verse 4. And it says, enter his gates, all right, like you're opening a set of gates, with thanksgiving and his courts. Now, it's not talking about a tennis court, but that's what I think of when I think of courts. So pretend like you're playing tennis, all right? Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. You can put your hands up in the air and praise the Lord. Give thanks to him and raise his name. Remember, this is the sign for name in sign language. That's kind of a long one for you guys, but I think you can get it. Psalm 100, verse 4. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and raise his name. Great job. Y'all have a very happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next week. Bye.